There are a few sayings of Jesus that, if we're honest, most of us don't like very much. Like, oh, we love Jesus, tender and compassionate, pouring his life out, sacrificial death and resurrection for all. We just don't like some of what he said. Like, beware, guard against every kind of evil. Life is not measured by how much you own. Or how about this? You cannot serve both God and money. Therefore, I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Like, I got bills to pay, mouths to feed, student loans and subscriptions. Like, what about retirement? Or what about rent? Have you seen Zillow lately? What about the cost of eggs? Of course, we love Jesus, just not some of what he said, especially about money. But why? Well, it may be that we don't actually believe the gospel of the kingdom. And you may be like, wait, what's that? It's the good news that the life we've always wanted is fully available to us right where we are through Jesus. That through him we have access to the Father's loving presence, that nothing, not your income, not your job title, your relationship status, your health, nothing stands between you and the life that is truly life. It could be that instead we believe another gospel, another vision of the good life and what it is and how you obtain it. Let's call it the gospel of America. This gospel preaches a simple message: the more you have, the happier you'll be. Upgrade the car. It's a Toyotathon sales event. Buy the bigger house. Make sure it's styled just right. Get the promotion, the raise, the bonus. Happiness is out there. It's just one purchase away, one remodel away, one salary bump away. And just like that, materialism, amassing more and more, it gives us happiness and meaning. After all, we don't just buy things, we build identities. I am what I wear. I am what I drive. The brand and the model of our phones, or the neighborhood, or the club soccer team that we play on, or our kids play on. Things aren't just things anymore. They are identities. And listen, I totally feel that pull too. I like nice things. I'm a Mac guy, never PC. I like Milwaukee tools that my father-in-law gives us for Christmas. I love Patagonia. I feel that dopamine hit when the package arrives. Like yesterday, I saw the Amazon truck drive down the street and my mouth was salivating like Pavlov's dogs. If it makes you uneasy, you're not alone. Just know, I'm going through the same thing. It makes me uneasy too. And we live in a culture that is designed to make us want more. Advertising used to say, this product works better. Now it says this product makes you better. And we see thousands of ads every single day telling us the same exact thing. You are lacking, and this will fix it. 12 times before breakfast, you've already been told that your house could be nicer, your skin could be smoother, your productivity could be optimized, your wardrobe could be updated. And slowly, without realizing it, the line between wants and needs disappears. Luxury starts to feel like survival. The subscription, the membership, the accessories, and sometimes it's not even about the thing. It's about not wanting to feel behind, not wanting to feel left out, not wanting to feel less than. But if you and I can see through it, I think we'll discover that we need far less than we actually think to be happy. We need far less than we actually think to be happy. So what do we truly need? Well, Jesus and the New Testament writers reduce our material needs to a surprisingly short list. Paul, the Jesus follower, writes this: if we have food and clothing, we will be content with that. Food and clothing. And if you live in a colder climate, you might need to add shelter. Food, clothing, shelter. That's it. Sounds radical, like even irresponsible. But consider the possibility. What if a rich, satisfying life doesn't require endlessly chasing more? Like, I'm not trying to say that poverty is romantic. It's brutal. Lifting people out of poverty always, absolutely, it increases well-being. Yes, money matters, especially when you don't have enough. When you're choosing between groceries and rent, when the car breaks down and there's nothing in savings, when the medical bills stack up, of course, money matters. But here's the thing. Researchers have consistently found that happiness rises with income, but only up to a certain point. Happiness rises with income, but only up to a certain point. When basic needs are met, and the survival is not the daily question, life improves. But after that, money and more of it is not going to make it any better. The curve actually flattens or even declines. Like the next raise, it doesn't quiet the soul. The bigger house doesn't secure your heart. The upgraded lifestyle doesn't erase anxiety. How much is enough? It just keeps moving. Out of reach, of course. John D. Rockefeller, the richest man in American history, was once asked, how much money is enough? And you know what he said? Just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. And yeah, that voice, it lives inside of us too. Just a little more savings, just a little more recognition, just a little more stuff. And then I'll finally relax. Like, I actually thought in high school that if I just had like one more surfboard, that I would be like set for life. That's it. That's all I need. Just a 6'2" Proctor tri-fin. That was it. I would be set. Yeah, right. Just a little bit more, and then I'll finally relax. But that is the lie. Just a little bit more won't do it. And here's the thing. Living to get more, it doesn't just take your money. It takes your time. Every purchase costs more than the price tag. It costs hours of your life. Let's say you buy the motorcycle that you've always dreamed of. Have fun, don't die. But do the math. There's the monthly payment, which means more hours at work, which means earlier mornings or later nights. There's the maintenance, the insurance, the repairs, the storage, and of course, the best part, like riding it, which takes time too. You might decide that it's worth it. Awesome, that's great. But don't pretend that it's free. Like you paid for it with slices of your life, which means less time. And less time means the potential for more hurry. And when you hurry, you're snapping at your kids because you're late. Half listening to your spouse because your mind is still at work. Hurry erodes love. You ever notice that? Like, you don't blow up at your kids because, like, you don't love them. No, you blow up because you're late. Or you don't half listen to your spouse because you don't care. You half listen because your mind is already on to the next thing. Hurry doesn't make you evil, it just makes you unavailable. So the problem is money and time and hurry. They're all interrelated, all deeply connected. We spend time to get money, to buy things that require more time to maintain, which causes us to hurry. And maybe that's the real issue. If more is my focus, gaining more because of my feeling of lack and discontentment, hurry will always be my lifestyle. I don't hurry just because I'm busy. I hurry because I'm afraid there won't be enough. And I won't be enough. So maybe the problem runs a whole lot deeper than we think. Because, we don't just buy things, we build identities. We look to possessions to tell us who we are. And here's the truth. Atheism hasn't replaced Christianity. Shopping has. We don't pray to Amazon, but we expect it to deliver peace today between the hours of 5 and 10 if you order the next 15 minutes. And when it doesn't, we click again. Maybe we're not bowing down to stuff, but we're looking to stuff to save us and make us secure and significant and happy. And that's exactly the kind of power that Jesus warned us that money could have. So, I have a crazy idea. What if Jesus was right? I mean, what if he actually knew what he was talking about? Like, he's describing reality. Like, think about some of his most famous lines. It is more blessed to give than to receive. It's just an observation about life and where joy can be found. Or how about this one? You cannot serve both God and money. He didn't say you shouldn't. He said you can't because it's not possible. How about take this line from Luke's gospel? Life is not measured by how much you own. But whether we believe him or not is another matter, especially when it comes to money. Like, people estimate that about 25% of Jesus' teachings deals with money and possessions. And almost none of it sounds like a Hallmark card. And I'll be honest, like, when I would come across Jesus' teachings about money, I used to cringe. Like, don't let my non-Christian friends read this stuff because it sounds miserable, like right up there with fasting and celibacy. Like, if I actually lived this way, it would suck the joy out of my life, I thought. Maybe like a lot of us, I didn't believe in the gospel of the kingdom, but the gospel of America. The more you have, the happier you'll be. But what if what Jesus is getting at isn't cringy at all? And what if the only cringy thing is my knee-jerk reaction to it? Like, what if more stuff equals more happiness is bad math? What if more stuff actually equals more stress? Having a garage that you can't even park in, or a closet that's crammed full of clothes, but you got like nothing to wear. What if more stuff equals less of what matters? Less time, less margin, less peace as you hurry through a mall parking lot. Less creativity, less relationships, less prayer, less of what actually fills your soul. What if the messaging of our culture is just a full-on lie? For all the flack that pastors get for talking about money, Jesus sure talked about it a lot. Let's zoom in today on Matthew chapter 6, his most concentrated teaching on money in the Sermon on the Mount. Matthew is a gospel. It's the first gospel in our Bibles. It's a story about Jesus, and he's on the Sermon on the Mount in chapter 6. It's halfway through, and Jesus says this in verse 19, big 6, little 19. Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth where moths and vermin, that's like rats, mice, lice, flies, cockroaches, destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven where moths and vermin do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Translation, don't pour your life into things that rust and break and go out of style or can be stolen out of your home. Or that couch that you financed, it's already sagging and smelly. That new car smell, gone. That excitement, gone with it. So instead, spend your life on what actually lasts. Your relationship with God and people. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And then Jesus says something really strange. The eye is the lamp of the body. So in Jesus' world, a healthy eye meant generosity, and an unhealthy eye meant greed. So if your eyes are healthy, generous, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eyes are unhealthy, greedy, your whole body will be full of darkness. If then the light within you is darkness, how great is that darkness? In other words, what you focus on, well, your life, it fills with darkness. But if your vision is shaped by God's kingdom and generosity, your whole body, it fills with light. Your whole life. What you focus on shapes your life. And then Jesus takes it home. No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one or love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. Cannot. Not should not. Cannot. You have to pick. And if you're still on the fence, here's the clincher, the very next word. Therefore, I tell you, do not worry about your life. And that word, therefore, it holds everything together, like money and treasure and vision and masters. Therefore, don't worry. If you worship money, it will fill you with worry. It will fill you with anxiety, and it will eat you alive. Who wants that? No one. So if money drives anxiety, then the solution cannot be just like more money. Is there a practice then from the life and teaching of Jesus that can help? Yeah, of course. It's called simplicity. But first, let's be clear. Simplicity is not white walls, sparse furniture, and no children. It's poverty. It's not poverty. It's not. It's not also getting a bunch of bins from Home Goods to reorganize stuff. It's arranging your life around what matters most and eliminating what does not. Did you catch that, though? Simplicity isn't just about stuff. It's about your whole life. Time, attention, energy, money, desire. And the goal isn't just to declutter your closet. It's to declutter your life. To ruthlessly eliminate anything that distracts you from what truly matters. And for apprentices of Jesus, what matters most is Jesus and his kingdom. To be with Jesus, become like him, and do as he did. So let's declutter just a few things first when it comes to our perspective about simplicity and money. If you have money in the bank or in your wallet or spare change in a dish someplace, you are richer than 92% of our world. So I think most of us are richer, far richer than we realize. Listen to what Paul told Timothy to say to the wealthy in Ephesus. Command those who are rich in this present world not to be arrogant, nor to put their hope in wealth, which is so uncertain. Command them to do good, to be rich in good deeds, and to be generous and willing to share. In this way, they will lay up treasure for themselves as a firm foundation for the coming age, so that they may take hold of the life that is truly life. And for years, I'd read that passage, and I would assume that it was about somebody else. Like, yeah, I'd read that command, command the rich, and I think, like, yeah, Jesus, get at them. And I realized, like, I am them. Turns out it's me. And even if you're not even technically rich, Jesus' teaching, it still applies. I mean, go back to the first century. Most of Jesus' audience was likely poor. But let's bust a myth here. Jesus wasn't poor in the way that a lot of people imagine him to be poor. Like before his public ministry, he was a tradesman, a craftsman, like a carpenter, or perhaps even a stonemason, likely earning a decent wage. And once he began teaching full-time, he was supported by a group of wealthy upper-class women who are actually mentioned by name in Luke chapter 8. I mean, he even had a treasurer. Probably picked the wrong guy, though. Turns out Judas and QuickBooks don't mix. But Jesus ate at the homes of wealthy friends so often that he was accused of being a glutton and a drunkard. And there at the cross, Roman soldiers gambled for his clothing, which means that they held some value. They were worth something. So on the one hand, the world and everything in it is good. And it's meant to be enjoyed and shared with those in need. And on the other hand, too much wealth has the potential to turn our hearts away from God. And Jesus lived in that tension. But when push came to shove, he clearly sided with simplicity over materialism every single time. No question. To follow Jesus in our world today is to live in that tension, to gratefully enjoy beautiful things and hold them loosely. And then to err on the side of simple, generous living. One of the things that we do in our household is we have loose attachments to stuff. That's just what we feel. Like, this is not even mine. It's God's. And it's been given to us to share and to use for his glory. Don't get me wrong, like, Jesus isn't trying to ruin your fun. He's just describing reality. That life isn't measured by how much you own. You cannot serve both God and money. It's more blessed to give than to receive. So what if he was right? What if the path to joy isn't just more stuff, but freedom from it? What if less is really more? Not because minimalism is trendy, but because the kingdom of God is real. And Jesus knows how life actually works. Okay, so how do we get started? Well, here are a few ideas, ways to retrain our hearts. In full confession, I am not saying that this is easy. I'm not saying that I have mastered this by any means. I'm learning this right alongside you. And as I do that, I realize it's a process. And in that process, I don't walk alone. I walk with you. I walk with my wife, and I walk with 4 grubby crumb snatchers. And, last week we talked about Sabbath, and I had just an amazing Sabbath day on Friday, right? Just turn the phone off or put it on airplane mode. Sorry if you called. I didn't pick up because I didn't know you called. It was on airplane mode. And just had that time with us, stopping and delighting. And beautiful, wonderful day. It felt like the time went so slowly. Had awesome tea parties with the girls, played baseball, did all sorts of fun, just stopping and delighting activities with the family, right? Enjoying God and his creation. And then the next day, I turn on the phone and all of that, get back into regular life. The first thing that Zeke asks me, my 8-year-old son, is at like 6 in the morning, can we go to Big Five now so I can spend my money that I got for my birthday to buy the fan that I wanted to buy? He wanted to buy this, like, he's not in here, right? Okay. All right, just checking. He asked me about it on Sabbath, on Friday. Can we buy this? Can you take me to Big Five so I can buy this? I'm like, no, there are 6 other days to do that. Today, we're just going to stop and delight. And he decided, okay, that's good. We can do that tomorrow. He asked me at 6 in the morning. I'm like, Big Five isn't open for another 4 hours, so we're going to have to wait. He waits until the afternoon, burning a hole in his pocket. We finally get there, and I just felt like it was just catapulted right into the thick of American consumerism, especially when we went right next door to Ross. Ugh. But anyways, we're at the store, and he sees the squirter fan thing that he really wanted. He's been saving up for a long time, and it's like $14.99. So I'm like, all right, it probably wasn't made in a sweatshop if it was made for that much money, if that's how much it's going for. And he's just like aimlessly walking around the store because he's not sure if that's what he wants. And I'm saying, like, dude, I realized, I talked to Tara later, I felt like I am just like about to puke right now because I just feel like it's just this grossness of the American consumerism complex. And I didn't feel it so much with Zeke and Big Five, but as I went next door to Ross, I totally just felt that. I was like, what? Why are we getting more stuff that we don't need? And she told me, well, it's a process, you know. You had to learn along the way, earn money, save it, and then you spend it on something that you really want, and that's what he did. And at Ross, I just felt like, okay, I guess it is a process. And so full confession, this is not easy. We're all learning along the way. That was a long time to get to that point, so I'm sorry. But here we go. Before you buy, ask, what is the true cost? What is the true cost? Not just the price tag, but the maintenance, the insurance, the storage, the cleaning, the mental bandwidth. And that's not very fun to think about, but you need to, because how much time will this cost me? How often will I actually use it? Will it help me enjoy God and his world more, or distract me from what matters most? And here's the sneaky one. What will this do to my pace of life? Because hurry is expensive. Every purchase shapes the rhythm of your days. So before you buy, ask, what is the cost? Before you buy, also ask, who pays for this besides me? Like, we live in a culture of consumption that is so normal that we barely even notice it. But our lifestyle has ripple effects on the earth and on the poor. Cheap stuff often isn't cheap. Someone else pays. And many of the things that we own are made in conditions that most of us would never or could never tolerate. Long hours, unsafe factories, wages that don't cover basic needs. Cheap clothes don't get cheap just by magic. They got cheap because labor did overseas. And we call cheap stuff a steal. And sometimes that's closer to the truth than we realize. It's easy to post on our phones about modern slavery and say it's bad, but it's awkward when the device in your hand or the shirt on your back is connected to it. And before you feel guilty, that's not the point. Like, I'm not trying to shame you. I'm trying to wake us up, myself included. Simplicity starts with awareness and asking better questions and learning to think before we buy. This means we should never impulse buy. And most impulse purchases happen late at night on a smartphone, half awake, half asleep, scrolling. You see something that you didn't know you needed 5 minutes ago, and suddenly it feels essential. It's on sale, next day shipping available. You deserve it. But when I actually resist and pause and pray and let that desire cool off, it's amazing how fast it fades. Like, just try it. The bigger the purchase, the longer the wait. Give it time to breathe. Ask God about it. God, do I actually need this? And you may be shocked at how good it feels to walk away. Or maybe just consider, did you ask around first? Because when you can, share. Like, we've bought into the lie that we need to own something to enjoy it. But it's just not true. Like, I enjoy our local trails, the beach, the parks. I don't own it. I enjoy library books. I don't own them. And then community is also amazing here. Like, why buy a pressure washer when Burton has one? Like, why own everything when you can hold things in common? Yeah, you break it, you buy it. But why can't we share? So get in the habit of giving things away. Jesus said it is more blessed to give than to receive. It feels good to buy a new shirt. It feels even better to help someone in need, to just pass stuff along to someone who could use it. If you want a blessed life, give. If you don't, don't. And finally, learn to appreciate the simple pleasures. Have you been outside recently? Oxygen is still free. Mountains, oceans, forests, they humble us. They shrink our ego and expand our wonder. Materialism shrinks the soul. Creation restores it. Add that to the simple pleasures. Coffee in the morning. Don't just drink it or gulp it. Taste it. Savor it. A home-cooked meal, a bike ride, a good conversation with the neighbors at dusk. These things don't look impressive on Instagram, but they feel like riches. It really is the little things. So where do we start? If you want a concrete place to start with your closet. Most of us have more clothes than we need. Some of us have things we haven't worn in years, but we keep them just in case. Just in case what? Like, the other day, I went through my closet and I'm like, oh, I've got these brown pants that I wore for this circus wedding that my sister-in-law had. I'm never going to wear these again, hopefully, right? You're not doing that again. But how about this? Let me ask you this. Do you remember what I wore last Sunday? Neither do I. But probably pretty close to exactly the same thing. Clearly, nobody's life was changed by my outfit. The point isn't owning two outfits. It's learning to live with enough. And over the past year, I've made the effort just to buy fewer things. Better quality, more ethically made, and something surprising happened in the process of that. I haven't felt that constant itch to buy more. I feel free. So if you want that freeing simplicity, you know where to start. Like, too many shoes, you only have 2 feet, so start there. A garage that is lava flowing into new spaces, start there. Or a collection that you haven't touched in years, you know what to do. Start where the Spirit nudges you. Maybe the best question is to ask, what would Jesus do if he were me? If he had my job, my income, my relationship status, my zip code, my temptations, would he need this many subscriptions? Would he upgrade that often? Would he need that much closet space? Would he work that many hours to afford that lifestyle? What would Jesus do if he were me? Following Jesus means asking that question until our very last breath. Simplicity is simple. It's just not easy. It will cost you. It will cost you convenience, status, certain comforts, but not living simply will cost you even more. Peace, time, a clear conscience, an unhurried soul. Above all, it can cost what Paul calls the life that is truly life. And I've been thinking a lot about Paul's words, the ones that he wrote to the Philippians. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Yeah, we love that verse. We slap it on GoFundMe pages, sports equipment, and motivational posters. And our arms, tattoos, yes. But in context, do you know what it's actually about? Contentment. Just read the 2 verses before it. I have learned to be content, whatever the circumstances. I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. He's not talking about crushing goals. He's talking about conquering discontent. And isn't that exhausting? That feeling of never being enough, that ache of always wanting what is just out of reach. More money, more success, more recognition. Ecclesiastes calls it a chasing after the wind, always chasing, never arriving. But contentment is when unfulfilled desires no longer control your happiness. Like, we have longings that aren't met. We have dreams that haven't come true, but contentment means that you don't have to wait for everything to change before you can have peace. You can be content now, right here and right now, through Christ who strengthens you, through an ongoing relational connection to Jesus. Whether you are rich or poor, single or married, thriving or scraping by, you have access to the Father, his loving attention, his presence, the life that is truly life. It really is that simple. So there is a version of your life where you get everything you ever wanted and you are too tired to enjoy it. And there is a version of your life where you have less, but you are present, peaceful, available to God and the ones you love. You choose. So God, help us not to store up treasures here on earth where moth and vermin destroy, where thieves break in and steal, and where we're always chasing after the wind. Help us to store up treasures in heaven, because we know where our treasure is, there our heart will be. And God, you are our treasure. You are far greater and far more important than anything that this life could ever offer. And God, as we are going against the grain of society and culture, in doing this, in ruthlessly eliminating hurry from our lives, and slowing down and creating a life built around you and simplicity, give us the courage to break free from the rat race of life that is so exhausting and draining. And I can just feel it in this room today, God. The fatigue that is brought on by the things of this world that are trapping us and pulling us away. I just pray that in this moment that we would sit with you. God, we've talked about silence and solitude and Sabbath and simplicity. And I pray that it would take an effect on our lives, that these aren't just nice things to think about, but these are actually things to do in our daily lives that will change us and in turn change the world. And so help us to have the courage to follow you at all costs.